So, DEI, three letters that can make people nod thoughtfully, roll their eyes, or suddenly remember they left the oven on. But whether you see it as overdue progress or corporate lip service or something in between, one thing's clear: diversity, equity, and inclusion are shaping real conversations, policies, and power dynamics. So, why are we so uncomfortable talking about them? Maybe that's exactly why we should. To understand where we are, we need to rewind. In the UK, the roots of diversity, equity, and inclusion stretch back through decades of activism, legislation, and let's be honest, resistance. The Race Relations Act of 1965 was a landmark moment, followed by the Equality Act of 2010, which consolidated anti-discrimination laws. But legal compliance isn't the same as cultural change, and that's where the real work begins. Let's break it down. Diversity is about who's in the room, whether it's their race, gender, disability, sexuality, class, neurodiversity, and more. Equity, that's about recognizing that not everyone starts from the same place and adjusting systems so the playing field isn't just level in theory. And inclusion, that's the vibe check. It's whether people feel safe, seen, and valued enough to speak up, show up, and stay. For organisations, DEI isn't just a moral imperative, it's a strategic one. McKinsey has been tracking this over the past decade, and the data is clear. Companies in the top quartile for gender and ethnic diversity on executive teams are significantly more likely to outperform financially. And yet progress is stalling, especially when it comes to ethnic representation in leadership. The numbers are still painfully low. In communities, DEI shows up in access to education, healthcare, housing, and justice. It's about who gets heard, who gets hired, and who gets held back. And for leaders, it's not just about hiring a head of diversity and calling it a day. It's about embedding equity in decision-making, culture, and accountability. DEI isn't just about ideals, it's about action. Over the decades, businesses have had to rethink how they hire, support, and empower their people. Recruitment used to be a game of credentials and connections, and often reinforcing demographic biases, stereotypes around ethnicity, age, and socioeconomic status. But today, many organisations are using structured interviews, blind CVs, and even AI-driven assessments to minimise bias where possible and widen access to opportunity. Then there's accessibility. The introduction of display screen assessments has helped businesses make reasonable adjustments for employees with physical disabilities, visual or hearing impairments, and neurodivergent conditions like dyslexia. These assessments ensure that workplaces, from ergonomic setups to assistive technologies, aren't just functional but inclusive. And let's talk about employee networks. The rise of employee resource groups have transformed workplace culture, creating that psychologically safe spaces where employees can connect, share, challenge, and advocate for change. These groups aren't just social clubs, however. They're bridges between employees and leadership, shaping policies that improve the experience for everyone. So where does that leave us? Businesses have made strides, but the work isn't done. DEI isn't a checklist, it's a commitment. It's about embedding equity into hiring, accessibility into infrastructure, and inclusion into everyday culture. And if we want real change, we need to keep asking, who's still being left out and what are we going to do about it? McKinsey's latest research highlights that while companies have made progress in gender diversity, ethnic representation and leadership remains a challenge. The intersectional experience, particularly for Black, Bangladeshi, and Pakistani women, shows that economic disparities persist, with these groups earning significantly less than their white British counterparts. This isn't just about representation, it's about economic mobility, opportunity, and systemic change. The work ahead isn't about ticking boxes, it's about shifting mindsets, redistributing power, and staying in the discomfort long enough to create real change. And that starts with conversations like this one. If you'd like to carry on a conversation with me, or need me to support you, your leadership, your organisation in navigating this DEI agenda to realise the impact that can be made, then get in touch with me today. Either leave a comment or send me a direct message.